We're going to talk briefly about the Korean elections. So I don't follow too deeply into the Korean elections, but today, going into today, so I think, actually, no, right now, today, so it's June 3rd in Korea right now, while it's June 2nd right now, if you're tuning into the broadcast. Yeah, so today is where they're doing elections. So today is election day in Korea. So today, it's not the presidential election, but it is local elections. So there are governor's races, there are mayor races, there are local city council races. And the biggest thing about this, the reason why this election is important is because the Democrat Party in Korea, the Minjudang, they control the presidency, but they also control the majority of seats in the National Assembly in Korea. So with that kind of power, plus a lot of the courts are left-leaning, they basically have a supermajority, and they have literally the entirety of the federal government left-leaning. That's an insane thing to think about, right? And so they're going to do a lot of things. That's why they're trying to pass a lot of crazy bills like the anti-discrimination law, and they're trying to tackle crack down on churches, all terrible things that we don't like in a free, orderly society. But yeah, they control so many of the levers of power, especially in the federal government. And so the Conservative Party, the second biggest party in Korea, which is the People Power Party, 국민의힘, they don't control much power. They hold the second most seats in the National Assembly, but it's like the amount of seats that the Democrats hold in Korea, I think it's almost twice. It's crazy. I went to the National Assembly in Korea actually earlier this year, and I got a tour there, and I was looking at it, I was like, dang, and I was looking at the chart, I'm like, holy crap, man. There's I think 130 or 140. Is that correct? Producer E, am I correct? 130, 140 Democrat assemblymen in the Korean parliament, and then there's 80. There's 80. Let's see. So in total, they have 300 members in the National Assembly. And then, so the Democratic Party has 161 seats, and the People Power Party has 107 seats. Okay, so it's not as drastic, but it's 60 more seats. That's a drastic amount of more seats. What are they going to get done? What are conservatives in Korea going to get done? Anyways, so I say that's just to give you a picture about what's going on in Korea and how, this is why Koreans are constantly saying, Korean conservatives constantly say that there is a crisis. So in Korean, they say 위기, and there's a crisis. There's a political crisis in Korea because the left wing in Korea, they hold so much power. And so right now, and also there's a reform party, but yeah, they're small, so no one really cares about them. It's like the libertarians, man. You got to operate within a two-party system. That's just kind of how things work. And if you operate outside of the two-party system, it doesn't really work out well for you. And you can't really amass political power and effectuate change. So operating within the two-party system is the best way to go, in my opinion. That's what Trump did with the GOP and transformed the GOP, which I think is a good political strategy. But yeah, so what's being actually voted on June 3rd, 2026? The June 2026 election is often described as the first national referendum on Lee Jae-myung's presidency. So voters will elect 17 metropolitan mayors and governors. So 17 metropolitan mayors and governors races are up for grabs. Hundreds of local mayors and thousands of local council members, right? So biggest battlegrounds are expected to be Seoul, Gyeonggi-do, so Gyeonggi province, Incheon, and Busan. And so the reason why conservatives in Korea care so much about this election is because, like we said, the presidency and the National Assembly is already controlled by the Democrat Party, Minjudang. But the local governments are one of the few remaining areas where conservatives still hold significant power. So a lot of conservatives see this election cycle as the last bulwark against the creeping authoritarianism of the Lee Jae-myung presidency, which, again, I don't think authoritarianism in and of itself is bad. I think it has different connotations in the West than it does in the East, where I think people are moving away from the negative connotations of authoritarianism and realizing, it's just leveraging political power to achieve political ends. But Korea still has a very negative connotation, right? Because there's a lot of history and there's a lot of violence regarding politics in Korean history. But yeah, so a lot of conservatives see it as this is the last chance, the last stand that we have before the Democrats solidify their rule and pack the courts, pass a lot of these laws and ossify a lot of these unjust laws. And so, yeah. And why progressives, so the Democrats and why the liberals care so much in Korea about this is because the goal is to repeat what happened after previous impeachment elections. And so in 2017, Moon Jae-in, who was one of the presidents who arguably terrible for Korea because he really solidified feminism in Korea and completely destroyed male-female relations because he literally, through government policy, disenfranchised young men and gave preferential treatment to women. Terrible for the nation. But anyways, after Moon Jae-in won in 2017, Democrats dominated the following local elections. And after Yoon Suk-yeol won in 2022, conservative performed strongly in local elections. So this is very interesting, right? Because in American politics, once the Republicans get into once a party gets into the presidency, the opposition party always wins the midterms, right? So they always win the elections thereafter the presidency. But in Korea, it was a little flipped, where Democrats dominated the local elections after Moon Jae-in became the president. Yoon Suk-yeol, after he became president, the conservatives dominated in local elections. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting. So the liberals, they really hope that public support for Lee remains strong to reclaim major cities and provincial governments. They're really hoping. And there's a lot of polls that come out where Lee Jae-myung and the Minjudang, they have a very, very high approval rating. A lot of people didn't like President Yoon's martial law. And so, yeah, the Liberal Party has a huge advantage right now, which is not looking good for the conservatives. Even conservative strongholds like Daegu, which is my hometown, by the way. Shout out to Daegu. I love Daegu. But yeah, Daegu, even Busan, right? These are like conservative strongholds, and they're like trending to the left, which is very, very concerning. And people, it's different. And let me explain this to you if you are not familiar with Korean politics. In America, the cities are blue, but then once you get outside the cities and go to the rural areas, it's red, right? In Korea, it's very different. It's by province and by city. So then Daegu is very conservative, but then like Gwangju, like we talked about, the Gwangju uprising and the Starbucks thing, they're very left-wing. Seoul is split. Like, it's interesting, right? Because you think like, what? Like every single major city in America is really hard left. Yeah, it's different in Korea. But yeah, so it's interesting. There's a lot of counties and there's a lot of provinces in Korea that are traditionally much more conservative, trending a lot more left-wing, which is, we'll see what happens. It's a bit concerning, but I think we have some posts here talking about the local elections going on. Oh my gosh, is this true? 6-3 local elections, up to 110 Chinese nationals to vote. Oh my gosh. And this is a problem, by the way. This is actually something that's very, very concerning in Korea. A foreign national, if they live in Korea for 3 years, they're able to vote. A foreigner, if they come and live in Korea for 3 years, they're able to vote in elections. You know how insane that is? And so there's a lot of Korean left-wingers who celebrate that as, look how welcoming we are to foreigners. You think that we're so xenophobic? Look, we allow them to participate in our elections after 3 years. That's a terrible thing. Why would you want that? And so the Chinese infiltration is actually very, very big in Korea. It's very, very concerning because not only are they foreign nationals and foreigners in Korea, but they blend in. Like, obviously, there's a different Korean and Chinese phenotype. 99% of the times I can identify them differently. There's a few times I slip up, because we have similar ancestry, right? No one's going to deny that. But at the same time, yeah, they blend in. They blend into Korean society. And so it's like, it's tough. It's not like in America where you can like, oh, these are white people and then those are like the third world migrants. It's like, no, it's very different. Because it's like, I mean, I guess it's similar to like if a German person came into like Switzerland, you know? I think it's like similar to that, like a white person, East Asian. But it's concerning because a lot of these people have ties to the CCP. They take Korean intelligence and IP and data and sell it back and bring it back. A lot of things on the dark web that happen. And so I think this is very concerning. But what happens in Korean elections is very, very important to see, where it's similar to dynamics is similar to America in this way, where if someone wears red, if they happen to wear red during elections, when they vote in elections, they have to apologize. Like this woman, right? She had red color hair and wore a red shirt to go vote, or on election day. And then she had to apologize. She had to dye her hair black and then apologize to her followers because the liberals gave her such a hard time. And then the mass media, they attack people if they wear red, if they happen to wear red, which is so crazy because it's like, you see my Korean flag over there. If you're watching this broadcast, you see the Taeguk, right? So the Taeguk is the center of the Korean flag. What are the two colors? It's red and blue. So Taeguk is a reiteration, and it's a different form of the yin and yang, right? So it's like, it's in balance, right? The red balanced with the blue. But if they wear red, oh my gosh, it's such a big deal. But then if you wear blue because you're liberal and you're voting for the Democratic Party and you wear all blue, oh, yeah, that's no problem. That's okay. That's freedom of choice. Yeah, why not? Nothing. So they blatantly, look at this photo. All these liberals are blatantly like affecting election decisions and voting decisions because they're wearing all blue and they're telling all their followers to, I'm not telling you who I voted for. Look at me, I'm wearing all blue. And then meanwhile, if you wear red, like literally mainstream media, look at this. All these mainstream media headlines, they destroy you. They come after you. They attack you. And then people on the internet attack you, and then they have to apologize. They have to issue apologies. Oh man, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And one thing that's good about Korean culture is that like Korean influencers and celebrities, and they don't go out of their way to berate their own audience like American celebrities do. But because of that, fans hold a little too much power. And I don't know, that might be controversial on this side of the internet, but yeah, if a fan controls too much power, then like a celebrity can't even have the freedom to wear red I mean, it's just getting ridiculous. It's just so getting out of hand. And so that's the state of the election cycle right now. So please continue to keep Korea in your prayers. May justice prevail, and may the law of God ultimately prevail, because we want that to be the main thing that we advocate for in any society, is the goodness and truth and beauty that is ultimately found in Christ alone.